Welcome back to the 305 Gridiron. On today's show, we are talking about training camp. That's right. Last week we did our preview for the Friday game coming up against the Commanders. So this week we are recapping training camp as it culminates in a joint practice with the Commanders today. We're going to talk about that as well. Can't wait to get into it. Miami Dolphins football is officially back, and I am so pumped for it.
Yeah, welcome to the 305 Gridiron. Anthony and Josh in the zone. They just slid on, breaking down plays all day. That's the biz on. Every snap, every trap, every blitz on. Talk turf, talk tape, talk pride. From the tailgate smoke to the goal line drive. Aqua Ace cooking heat when the mics turn up. If you're repping Miami, put your hands right up. Hey, this the 305 Gridiron. Dolphins talk, we live it up. Anthony and Josh, Aqua Ace, yeah, they light it up.
Fins up, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the 305 Gridiron. I am your host for this evening, Anthony Pinzone. My boy Josh, aka Aqua Ace, is feeling under the weather, so he won't be joining us tonight. I know he is super bummed because we are just 2 days away from Miami Dolphins football. That's right, August 14th. We head over to Washington to take on the Commanders for the first preseason game of the Jeff Hafley and John Eric Sullivan era. I absolutely cannot wait. I know that this team has been shredded down to the studs, and I know we are rebuilding it one little piece at a time, but let me tell you, the notes we've been getting from training camp have got me amped again. I fall for it every year. I'm like, doesn't matter how good or how bad the team looks on paper. It doesn't matter. I'm amped up for Miami Dolphins football, and it's going to be here in just, two more sleeps. If you have kids, you do that for Christmas, right? All right. Let's first talk about the Washington Commanders and Miami Dolphins joint practice that happened today. My biggest concern about all of the great training camp news coming out is that, well, we're playing against ourselves, and we don't really fully expect our team to be very good. So what exactly does it say that the offense had a good day against the defense, or the defense had a good day against the offense, if the expectations for those units are not very high? So my concern going into the Washington Commanders practice and into this game on Friday is that we are going to see firsthand what it means when you practice consistently against a not very good unit. Now, some of that proved to be true today in the Washington Commanders joint practice. There was definitely the secondary didn't look improved from what I understand. Of course, I'm just reading like Omar Kelly notes, and Wingfield didn't actually give us a lot of notes, so I'm really relying on Omar Kelly's notes here, and he did not seem to think the secondary had a very good day. Jaden Daniels was able to find openings all over the field. Treylon Burks, of all people, had a 70-yard touchdown, and the offensive line struggled against the pass rush. Now, the good news is that Washington's offensive line struggled against our pass rush as well, so this could just be that offensive lines are behind defensive lines at this point, which could make a lot of sense. The defensive linemen are literally just, bull seeing a red cape and charging at it as they try to get to the quarterback, whereas the offensive line's got a lot of things to remember, a lot of positioning that they have to do, learning a new system. There's a lot going on with the offensive line. So I am hopeful that unit is still going to be pretty solid. I think that they will be because from a pure talent perspective, I think that they are one of our best units. We have lots of high draft picks on that unit. So hopefully they can start to gel. We'll see what happens on Friday in the actual preseason game. I can't wait for us to get going on that. Because we get to see Dolphins football. We get to see Malik Willis in a Dolphins uniform for the first time. And we get to see a lot of rookies who haven't played it down in the NFL yet get their shot out there. So I'm pretty pumped about that. There was a list of players who were not expected to play. Let me see if I can find that really quick. I should have left it open. That's my bad. Sorry about that. Let me find this list really quick. There's a lot of players who didn't participate in the one-on-one practice, and there's some expectation that these guys won't play in the preseason game. Some of them I'm not sure. So Zack Sieler is nursing an injury. He is said to be day-to-day, so I don't know if he'll actually play on Friday. I doubt it. Dante Trader Jr. didn't participate. Lonnie Johnson Jr., Juju Brents, Cleveland Farrell, Kevin Coleman Jr., Jamari Salyer, and Ben Sims. Chris Johnson also, after about 30 minutes of practice, wasn't working anymore. He was just holding his helmet, so that's something to keep an eye on as well. We have been very lucky as a team to avoid injuries so far this year. So let's hope we can keep that trend going, because if we're already kind of lacking the talent, so let's stay healthy at least, so that the talent that we do have can, make something of themselves, have a good season, get some experience, all of the things that you're hoping for from this unit, all the units, all the draft picks, all the rookies, all the young players, all the guys just looking for a chance. Stay healthy. Hey, Josh, welcome to the chat, my dude. Hope you're feeling better, buddy. So Washington Commanders game, let me take a look. I think some of this I can just kind of tie into, or not game, the practice. Malik Willis looked pretty good. He did have a really bad interception that was returned for a pick six, but other than that, it looks like he looked pretty good. Caleb Douglas, he's on the thumbnail for a reason. This guy's having a hell of a camp, and it did not change when there's a joint practice against Commanders. Continues to look like we may actually have that diamond in the rough you look for from the draft. He has looked all the part of an NFL wide receiver so far in camp. Cannot wait to see him in real football action, to see if it's a mirage, if he's just a camp guy, if he's just a preseason guy. Like I can't wait to see him in the regular season. I know that's still another month away, but Caleb Douglas so far, very impressive. I talked about the defense. They had a rough day. Offensive line struggled in one-on-one drills. And of course, Zack Sieler will miss the next few practices because he's week to week with an injury. What that does is it gives Kenneth Grant, Jordan Phillips, and Zeke Biggers a little more first-team work. Speaking of which, guys, there was a lot to unpack from our first ever depth charts. Let's talk about that for just a minute, because I'm not a person who gets really amped up for depth charts in the preseason. Like, who cares, right? But we have had so many questions about the depth chart that it's like, you know what? I am actually going to take a look at this and get some insight here as to what we're doing. Josh and I have talked quite a bit about, like, what are we running on defense? We don't know. Are we running a 4-3? We're running a 3-4? Well, the first official depth chart, it looks like we might be running a 4-3, at least a base 4-3. And then, of course, we'll run, most teams run all formations on defense at this point, and there's just a base set that they use. And I say that it looks like a base 4-3 because we have 2 defensive tackles, 2 edge rushers, 3 inside linebackers listed on the depth chart. So that would tend to be 4 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers. That's a 4-3 defense. Other things I noticed here, Caleb Douglas already getting the start. The offensive line is as we expected. Paul, Proctor, Brewer, Savaniah, and Jackson. Greg Dulcich starting at tight end. That's expected as well. Ben Sims is starting at the fullback tight end flex role. I really thought that would be Kaczmarek or Kaczmarek, however you say that. But right now, it looks like Ben Sims has that locked down. He knocked DJ Herman back a spot there, who was the starting fullback. Well, it was the only fullback. Really, not the starter, the only. Jalen Wright is getting first dibs at RB2 over Ollie Gordon. Malik Willis, of course, is the QB1. Malik Washington starting at the slot wide receiver. Jalen Tolbert on the other side of Caleb Douglas. And then it's Tutu, Kevin Coleman, and Jalen Reagor as the backup wide receivers. The defensive side of the ball, you could argue, is a little more interesting. They have the first defensive tackle position, starting position, listed as Kenneth Grant or Jordan Phillips, which means that there is a battle going on right now for that defensive tackle position alongside Zack Sieler between Kenneth Grant and Jordan Phillips. A battle that maybe we didn't actually recognize when we were talking about our camp battles going into training camp. I assumed that the battle would be Phillips versus Biggers. It looks like it's actually Grant versus Phillips here. And then Sieler is being backed up by Biggers. We, of course, have a bunch of defensive tackles, depth pieces in there as well. Chop Robinson and Josh Uche are the starting edge rushers for this week. That's not unexpected. What is a little surprising is that David Ajabo is down the draft. He's at third on the depth chart behind Robert Beal Jr. And Cleveland Farrell, who I'm a little bit surprised is up there. This guy's a former first-round pick, sure, but wasn't really that impressive in his time in Las Vegas. Jordan Brooks at inside linebacker, Terrell Dotson or Jacob Rodriguez at middle linebacker. They're really making Rodriguez earn that one. And then Trey Moore at the other inside linebacker position. I imagine Brooks and Moore playing on the right or the left, and then Dotson or Rodriguez is in the middle. I'm sure that will shift around a ton, so that doesn't really mean much. But to see Trey Moore starting at inside linebacker, this is certainly not something we identified early on in training camp or predicted happening. We really thought, at least I really thought, Trey Moore would be an edge rusher. But he is clear as day listed as an inside linebacker starting ahead of Willie Gay Jr. And then Terrell Dotson and Jacob Rodriguez ahead of Woodard. And then Brooks is ahead of Ronnie. Is it Ronnie Harrison? I can never remember this. I think it's Ronnie Harrison Jr. or Kyle Lewis. So Kyle Lewis is currently in a battle for a backup inside linebacker position, which is very intriguing to me. Very intriguing to me. Not exactly how I saw it playing out. At the cornerback position, I don't think there's a lot of surprise here. Juju Brents, Jason Marshall Jr. on the outside with Chris Johnson at the nickel corner position. That is kind of what we expected. Looking at Alex Austin, Ethan Bonner, and A.J. Green III as the backups, that is interesting to me because Marco Wilson comes in with a lot of experience. He is listed as third. Miles Battle's in there at third. Robinson is at third. And then a bunch of guys at fourth who, if I'm being honest, I haven't heard of before. What about some other rookies? Max Llewellyn listed at third on the edge ahead of Cameron Good. That's interesting. And then at safety position, Zane Anderson currently locking down the one safety spot ahead of Michael Taft. Dante Trader Jr. and Lonnie Johnson on the other safety position. Trader, I believe, has that position locked up. Major Burns, who came over from the UFL, is currently third on the depth chart behind Anderson and Taft. All right, nothing really special going on in special teams. As expected, we only have one kicker because Zane Gonzalez hit the IR. Bradley Pinion is the punter. He's the only punter, and I don't even remember Addington's first name, but the long snapper, only long snapper we have as well. Kick return and punt return is, of course, Malik Washington. So really, this first depth chart was filled with a lot of nuggets on here. Really super interesting. One thing I didn't mention is Charlie Heck versus, what the hell's the new guy's name that we just got? Wallace. We just traded with the Patriots for an offensive guard named Wallace, whose first name I can't actually remember. But he is already listed as competing with Charlie Heck for the backup right tackle position, which we're going to need because Austin Jackson's already nursing an injury. Caden Wallace. Thank you, Josh. All right. Let me go to the chat here. This is to be expected. But still, you want to see, even in the base, at least I do, that's fundamentals, right? We're testing our fundamentals by doing that. Juju and John, yep, I did mention that. Johnson did practice the first 30 minutes, and then that was it. We're not sure why. We're not sure if he got hurt or what happened there. Absolutely. I love that they put so many positions on here that say or. It's like Dotson or Rodriguez, Heck or Wallace, Grant or Phillips. Like, they're really, like, Hafley and team were like, here's the camp battles, guys. We're going to make it super obvious for you which players are battling each other for starting positions. Yeah. Dude, this one shocked me. Like, honestly, the biggest thing that stood out is Trey Moore starting at Sam linebacker. Like, I didn't see that coming. I really didn't. Really thought he was going to line up at edge, but I guess given his size, it makes sense. I mean, having him be the first rookie listed as a starter at linebacker, I would have lost a lot of money on that. I would have said Rodriguez for sure. But yeah, crazy. Balakai, welcome to the show, buddy. Good to have you in here. Welcome to everybody. Thank you for joining me today. We are talking about Dolphins training camp. We're recapping Dolphins training camp. If you're looking for our preview of the Washington Commanders game, by the way, we filmed that or recorded that last week. A little bit of a scheduling mishap, but that's okay. We're going to recover here, and we're going to talk about training camp today. There's been a lot of training camp news, so there's a lot to talk about. Of course, we just talked about the first joint practice with the Washington Commanders, and we took a look at the first depth chart of the Jeff Hafley era. A lot of interesting nuggets on there. Now it's time to get into our biggest camp takeaways. We cannot start this segment, fellas and ladies, if you're listening, without talking about Malik Willis. Malik Willis has looked fantastic in training camp so far. He did have a little bit of a struggle today in the Washington joint practice, but that's okay. He's going to have his struggles. We cannot go into this expecting this quarterback to be perfect. We cannot get so amped up by the hype of training camp and the hype of practice that we go into an absolute tizzy if the guy makes a mistake. He's going to make mistakes. He's a very young quarterback with not a lot of experience. Yes, he had some good reps with the Green Bay Packers after having a horrific start to his career with the Tennessee Titans. But good reps does not make a good quarterback. We will see if he's a good quarterback. Jeff Hafley and John Eric Sullivan fully believe he is. If he is, that's great. That means we go into next year's draft not needing to take a quarterback. We can sell that pick. Let's assume we have a top 3 pick. We either sit there and take the wide receiver, or we sell that pick for a king's ransom to one of the other 17 teams that need a quarterback. Right? He's been explosive, though. He's making plays in both structured plays and off-script plays. His scrambling ability has been noticeable. Right? And his deep ball is far more impressive than I ever anticipated. I got to be honest. Like, I don't really know what to expect from quarterbacks on the deep ball. Half the time I expect that if they're hitting 50-50, they're doing great. I mean, Malik has been spot on, and he's got a lot of speed demons in the wide receiver core, and he is just hitting them on a dime all the way downfield. Tutu Atwell, Caleb Douglas multiple times, Malik Washington have all benefited from the deep ball from Willis. So, I would love to. I don't know if Willis. We still don't know if Willis is playing on Friday. I would imagine. I would love to just see a shot taken. Right? I know it's preseason. Who cares? Let's go. Let's see a shot taken. Multiple of those deep completions, by the way, on scramble plays, which is something that we're not used to. I mean, Tua was a statue pretty much back there, and Quinn Ewers showed us a little bit of scramble ability, but certainly not known for his scrambling. And the back shoulder throw to Caleb Douglas at this point, it's borderline mastered. These two must have been working in the offseason or something on this play, because they every single training camp notes that I see is highlighting the back shoulder pass to Caleb Douglas. It's awesome. So the question is, are we officially buying into Malik, right? Training camp is coming to an end, right? Preseason starts in 2 days. Are we sold on Malik at this point going into preseason, or do we need to see the preseason? Right? That's the question. Is Malik Willis legit? That's the question for the entire season. But I want to hear from you all now, because it's easy to go into the season and see him have 3 good games and be like, yeah, he's legit. I want you to slam your flag into the ground right now. Do you think Malik is going to be legit? I'm still not ready to say that. But there's Dolphins fans who are going to be ready to say that. I know there are. Balakai's over there. I see him. He's got a flag. He's ready to go. Right into the ground. Let's go. The other big takeaway from camp has definitely been Jeff Hafley's defense, right? Josh and I talked about multiple times. Are we going to see a difference in this, not just the defense, in the entire team, both in toughness, in maintaining their role, doing their job, being disciplined? The defense so far in training camp has shown up. Every single practice, there's takeaways. Jacob Rodriguez leading the charge on that, but lots of interceptions too. Forced fumbles coming from everywhere. And Jacob Rodriguez is teaching his teammates how to do it. He mastered the peanut punch. Now he's teaching the peanut punch. Right? Are we more physical? We need to be more physical. We have been known as the soft Miami Dolphins for far too long. It's time to be physical. It's time to be tough. And there needs to be an emphasis on finishing every rep, which there has been so far. There's an absolute emphasis on finishing every single rep. And the players seem to love it. The Dolphins media team, if you're not subscribed to the 305 Gridiron, do that first. But if you're not subscribed to the Miami Dolphins YouTube channel, definitely do that. Because their media team has just been on fire. Posting tons and tons of shorts from training camp, interviews, everything. If you just can't get enough Dolphins news, they are providing it. Right? So there's been multiple practices so far where the defense has had 3+ takeaways. Miles Battle had a 2-interception day. That's great to see. Like I said in our bold predictions show, I do think there is going to be a guy who nobody's talking about in Dolphin circles. Not us, not Dudley, right? Not Travis. No Dolphins creator is talking about. Omar's not talking about him. There's going to be somebody who stands up and outperforms expectations across the board. Now, maybe that's Trey Moore. Trey Moore getting the starting nod. Right? Maybe it's Trey Moore. Willie Gay, Chris Johnson, Taft Rodriguez, and others are all creating turnovers. So does this defense already look like a different Dolphins defense? That's hard to say. We've only done training camp, right? We've only done training camp. But I think the focus on turnovers, the focus on physicality, the focus on finishing the play is definitely noticeable so far. All right, let's revisit the chat. Now that I'm off my soapbox here, I got 2 of the biggest camp takeaways. I have 1 more to talk about, but I do need to take a breath for a second to see what you guys have to say, because I love my boys in the chat over here. Football's back, baby. I don't know that we're going to struggle all year. Probably. But I'm still super pumped. Yeah, Malik Washington, man. He hasn't stood. I mean, you have every opportunity, Malik, to take over wide receiver 1, right? Tyreek Hill, you gone. Jalen Waddle, you gone. Leaves Malik Washington there. Perfect opportunity. It's on a platter, right? It's on a platter here for you, Malik. Could be silver, could be gold, whatever you prefer. It's here for you to take. Caleb Douglas said, I don't think so, my friend. I'm hungry. I'm taking that platter. Get the hell out of here. Get the hell out of here. I feel better about Malik starting than I have about Tua over the last 2 years. That's a good point. I mean, to be fair, though, in 2024, coming off that 2023 season, we really expected big things out of Tua. He immediately disappointed us. It was absolute immediate. I think that was the year we got slammed by the Colts in week 1. Maybe that was last year. I can't. They're all blended together. But yeah, I mean, then after 2024, nothing there, right? TD standing on business. He said Willis and Douglas are elite. Did he now? Elite. Interesting. I'm not ready to say all that, but I think he has the potential to be really good. Yeah. I mean, Caleb Douglas has been the biggest surprise at camp so far. I know that there's probably a segment in these notes that I just ruined by saying that, but Caleb Douglas was easily one of the most disappointing picks to me in that draft. And he has done nothing but prove that sentiment wrong, right? Every single practice, he's making plays. Every single drill, he's making plays. A joint practice against the Washington Commanders, no big deal. We're going to make some plays, right? I mean, we're all hyped for Chris Bell. You know, there's been some news lately that maybe Chris Bell is going to come back sooner than later, and everybody in the entire NFL universe, not just Dolphins fans, a lot of hype out there for Chris Bell. Everybody's like, oh, Chris Bell's going to eat. He's going to feast. The Dolphins need him to come back. It's going to completely change their offense. But what if it doesn't? What if Caleb Douglas is already doing it by the time Chris Bell gets back? It's really interesting. I mean, this Caleb Douglas storyline has me just glued to my phone for updates every single day. What did he do today? Right? What did he do today? The potential's there, man. The potential is there. Yeah, I'm good with Malik for this year. Welcome in, True Blazer, by the way. It's the supporting roster on both sides of the ball. We knew that considering the massive dead cap. You know, we only need a couple of these guys to be great, though. Right? We have some core players on the team who are returning and are very good players. Brooks, Brewer, Sieler. Juju Brents has looked good so far. He's a returning player. Dante Trader Jr., Jason Marshall Jr., guys from last year. You go on the offensive side of the ball, the offensive line, right? If Austin Jackson can stay healthy, Savania's in year 2. Patrick Paul. Achane just got paid. You could argue that Dolchik and Malik Washington are good role players. There's pieces here. And there's plenty of rookies that we don't know enough about to maybe put out a decent product. Maybe decent's too strong. Put out a stronger product than many people think we're going to put out. Jorge, I'm trying to get to your comment. My mouse decided to stop working. Here we go. Jorge, welcome in, bud. Sports Night with Jorge on the YouTubes. Go hit subscribe on his channel as well if you haven't already. You should have. Welcome in, buddy. Good to have you. Yeah, if Bell comes in, right, and he is a great point. I don't have to reiterate what you said. If he comes in as the player we all think he is, and Caleb Douglas is already balling out, I mean, Tyreek and Waddle who, right? Tyreek and Waddle who? Dolphins wide receivers are going to be fine. Let's wait for the preseason games to start. 2 days. 2 more sleeps, my friend. 2 more sleeps. All right, let me get to the last big camp takeaway that I wanted to talk about. We talked about Malik Willis looking legit. We talked about Jeff Hafley's defensive identity just showing up. Physicality, turnovers, getting the play done all the way to the end. Let's talk about the offensive line and the running game. We all largely expect that the offensive line and the running game are going to be a big part of our offensive game plan this year. We paid Achane some money. So happy we got that deal done early, looking at what, the rest of the running back. I mean, Jonathan Taylor and Bijan Robinson and Gibbs over in Detroit, all getting big money, making that Achane deal look like we got a steal, because we did. We've had explosive runs all throughout camp, and not just from Achane. Jalen Wright, Ollie Gordon, both 50-plus yard touchdowns. Proctor and Brewer looking great. Savania is having a strong camp. We've been more physical on the offensive line. Achane still looks like Achane. I mean, hopefully he continues to look like Achane, because my bold prediction was he was going to be the first ever player to have 2,500 yards, and 1,000 of that would be receiving and 1,000 of that would be rushing. He'd be the first player ever in NFL history to do that, by the way. Proctor and Patrick Paul sprung Ollie Gordon for a 70-yard touchdown. Proctor and Brewer sprung Jalen Wright for a 25-yard touchdown. The question that we have in the show notes is, could the O-line surprise us? But the question I think I want to change it to is Proctor becoming very quickly one of our best offensive linemen already? Because when I read the notes about the Washington practice, the Dolphins and Washington joint practice, things weren't looking good for Mr. Patrick Paul over there. But didn't see anything negative about Proctor. And really haven't heard much negative about Proctor in all of camp. Holy cow, would that be amazing. If just imagine we got like half of these players to hit. It's incredibly unlikely. We have 13 draft picks, right? For half of them to hit, which would mean 6.5 of them hit. So let's round it up to 7. Incredibly unlikely, right? But let's say we just got 4 or 5 of them to hit. I mean, we're looking at a Patriots-Broncos style like turnaround season for next year. That would be nuts. All it takes is guys doing their job, being well coached, and having talent. Now, the scouts are the ones we're relying on to pick the players who have talent And Hafley and his guys are the ones we're relying on to coach these guys up. And then everything else is on the player, right? Everything else is on the player. How hard they work, how much effort they put into every single play, how smart they are, how much they study. It's all on them. It's all on them, man. Haf's comments about Achane needing to be in shape was hilarious. Yeah, he does kind of look out of shape. I don't know if they was being tongue-in-cheek, but I see Achane. It's like, I think he might be a little out of shape. Clearly already the 3. I mean, he's on his way to being the 2. I'm not going to overreact to one joint practice, but I'm still not 100% sold on Patrick Paul. I think he's done a lot of good stuff. Don't take what I'm saying. Don't take what I'm saying the wrong way. I'm not saying I don't like Patrick. I love Patrick Paul. And I think he's done a lot of good stuff. But he hasn't shown us consistent elite production or anything that would have you being like, yeah, nobody can usurp him, right? We are all worried about the right side of the offensive line. Let's be honest. I mean, Savanias look great, but Austin Jackson already fighting injuries. That's just the way of the world with Austin. Oh, that makes more sense. That makes more sense. He's going to run him all over the place. Yeah, he sure is. He's going to pass it to him a lot too, I bet, because when Malik finally gets into a live play and realizes that he don't have all that amount of time, I think he's going to learn to find Achane quite a bit. Quite a bit.
Now playing Hans Zimmer.
Well, my computer's about to play music, so about to get copyright infringement here. Got to turn off all these devices. What's going on? Everybody's listening to me. All right. Let's talk about segment 2. Guys we keep hearing about. We already talked so much about him, but let's talk about Caleb Douglas. Caleb Douglas. By the way, I split these into segments because I want to try to get everybody in, right? So we put them in little groups. And the guys we keep hearing about, Caleb Douglas is number 1. Contested catches, explosive plays, multiple touchdowns, route running, is getting veteran praise, and has clearly got the most chemistry with Malik Willis. Josh and I talked about that, right? We talked about that in, leading up. Is somebody is going to be working with Malik behind the scenes before training camp starts that we're not going to see, right? It's not televised. The only people who know about it are probably Malik and the receiver. The coaches typically don't really know about it. And then when they get to camp, we're going to find out who that is. So far, it looks like Caleb Douglas. I wouldn't doubt it if stories start coming out. If he has a good rookie year and stories come out after the season that him and Willis were meeting immediately after the draft and started working together. Because it sure as shit looks like it in training camp already. Right? His one-handed 30-yard back shoulder catch for the touchdown in practice was chef's kiss. Absolute chef's kiss. Let me see more of that. The other thing I like to talk about with him is when he mossed Chris Johnson, our first-round pick. Caleb Douglas is a third-round pick. Remember that. This right here. He looks like the real deal. Second on the list, nobody's surprised here. Jacob Rodriguez. Bringing the peanut punch back to the NFL. Peanut Tillman's probably pumped up about that. He forces fumbles every single practice. He has multiple pass breakups. Actually, I think was it Malik or Quinn who was quoted in an interview talking about that? Like, guy came out of nowhere. He's everywhere. This is everywhere. He's got his tackles for loss are fantastic. His coverage range is amazing. His football IQ is absolutely out of this world. If you didn't know it, you wouldn't be surprised to hear that he was mentored by Zack Thomas. Because he's got the same grit. He's got the same determination. He's got the same ability to be somewhere in a half a second flat that you didn't think he could get to. Right now, he's not currently listed as a starter. He's listed as a half a starter. Whatever that means. But he will be the starter for us. I just don't think there's a doubt about it. This one, my next one here, makes me really, really happy because it's a guy we talked a lot about in previous shows, about a guy who needs to step it up this season. Chop Robinson. Chop Robinson going into year 3. We need to see it, Chop. We need to see him become the edge rusher we thought he could be when we drafted him in the first round. He looks bigger. He looks stronger. He's developed a bull rush technique, which is absolutely something we talked about all last season. All he had was one move, and he was really good with that one move. But if he ran into an offensive lineman that could stop that one move, he was gone. Now he's got a new move. He can still win with speed, and his run defense has improved tenfold. He had 2 sacks in last Saturday's practice, including one that ended a 2-minute drive. This is one player on our defense that we absolutely, if we have any chance of winning more than 3 games, we need Chop Robinson to become what he was supposed to be, right? We need him to continue to show a massive jump. It's year 3. Players are supposed to make a massive jump in year 3. God, do we need Chop Robinson to make that jump. Truly do. Yeah, it says it all right here. Jorge says Jacob is another real deal. They said when GM Sully sure can find talent. It looks like it so far, Jorge. It looks like it so far, man. Chop and Grant are my 2 guys that I believe need to play better in 2026. 1,000%. We're on the same page, Jorge. You've been listening to me, buddy. You're in my ear. I've been saying this all along. And Josh thinks I'm too harsh on Grant. Love you, Josh, but you do think I'm too harsh on Grant, but he deserves it. He was the 13th overall pick. Get out, and you're listed as a half starter. You're listed as fighting for a starting role with a 5th rounder as the 13th overall pick. That's rough. It's really rough. All right, last guy I want to call out on the guys we keep hearing about. I already talked about him too, but I'll happily talk about him again. Caden Proctor. He's consistently involved in explosive runs. He's physical at the point of attack. He is lucky enough to be playing between Patrick Paul and Aaron Brewer. I'm sure that helps. And he just puts in a monumental amount of effort. That was the knock on him, right? That was why he wasn't a top 10 pick. The knock on him was that in college, he could take plays off. It's college, guys. He's in the NFL now, where coaches don't really stand for that shit, right? And I don't think it was a work ethic thing. I mean, those stories were coming out from his freshman year. Were you the same when you were 18 as you were when you were 22? I bet not, right? I bet you weren't the same. He wasn't either. So, Caden Proctor, he's very quickly one of the highest risers for me. He's one of the guys that went from, wow, this is a bit of a disappointing pick, to, wow, I cannot wait to watch him on Sundays. This may be the season that I pay the most attention to the offensive line. Not really a position I pay a lot of attention to. I like position, like I like the quarterback and receiver and the running game, and I like to see big explosive plays, so I'm paying attention to those guys. But this year I might actually watch that offensive line more. I may do it. Let's talk about some guys that you should not sleep on, guys you should be thinking about that you may not already be thinking about. The first one is Chris Johnson. He's been making plays, and he's been lining up everywhere. We've heard Hafley talk about it. He's our second first-round pick from the 2026 NFL Draft. He plays corner. Coming out of a small school, I have my concerns. But so far, Hafley has loved him. Hafley said he's as advertised. He's been lining him up all over the field. He's ecstatic to have a corner of his nature. His words, not mine. And looks like Chris is going to start this week, if he plays this week, at nickelback. So the first depth chart that we've gotten shows him at nickel corner. But Hafley has said he can play all of them. So we'll see how much he shifts positions, how often he lines up at nickel corner versus outside and all that stuff. And speaking of outside, let's look at Jason Marshall Jr. 5th round pick last year, won the nickel corner position last year for us. this year seemingly has won a starting position on the outside. Talk about a diamond in the rough, right? Now, if the secondary continues to get burnt and he continues to give up big plays and the quarterback continued to have a very high QB rating against the secondary, maybe that doesn't look so good. But the fact that you're a second-year player who was drafted in the 5th round the year prior and you have now earned a starting position in 2 different positions 2 years in a row, that says a lot to me. That says a lot. I mean, that says that's a competitor right there, right? That's a guy with talent. That's a guy with a chip. And that's the guy I'm keeping an eye on right there. Out of the University of Florida, too, by the way. So I don't know how far Gainesville is from Miami, but at least he got to stay in the same state. Michael Taff is flashing. He still hasn't earned himself a starting role, but he's getting better and better every single practice, every single day. I think the one thing we talked about with Michael Taff is, does he have the physical tools, right? I think that he has the leadership ability. He has the smarts. Does he have the physical ability to compete on a regular basis? So we'll see, right? We don't know yet. But he has shown a lot of flash in training camp so far. Miles Battle had a 2-interception practice. I don't really remember where Miles Battle comes from, so let's go ahead and take a look at that real quick. Miles Battle is in his first year. UDFA, it looks like, out of Utah. So he's coming in trying to earn himself a roster spot after going undrafted, and he had a 2-interception practice. That's a good way to earn yourself a roster spot. There is a serious competition for the roster spots in the secondary, by the way. All of the guys I just mentioned on the don't sleep on list. Secondary players on the defense, right? Now, I have other players to talk about for this list, but that just goes to show how fierce the competition is in the defensive secondary, right? Now I'm rooting for the guys who have long shots, right? Miles Battle, long shot. The kid out of the UFL, Major Burns, long shot, right? But I'm rooting for those guys. If you can compete and you can show that you can get better and better, why not? Why not? Jorge in the chat says in Dolphins history, Proctor and Patrick are the tallest players. They're both 6'7", over 325 that team has ever had. Yeah, left side of the line is going to be huge, dude. Malik's safety blanket over there on the left. All right, let's talk about the tight ends. I mentioned when we were going over the depth chart, I was surprised that Will Kacmarek isn't currently listed as the starter at the fullback tight end kind of hybrid role. I feel like that's the perfect role for him. Ben Sims is currently impressing enough to be holding down that starting spot, which puts Kacmarek at tight end 2, potentially. We'll see. He's still one of the top 3 tight ends. I expect we'll see quite a bit of 3 tight end sets from the team this year. But his blocking keeps showing up. Every report you see at a camp is how he is as advertised from a blocking perspective. And alongside him, we have the kid Seydou Traore out of England, the first international pathways player ever drafted, has been contributing pretty regularly as a receiver and as a blocker. He has looked, I'm not going to say he's looked great, but he's looked really surprisingly good. I know when we first drafted him, Josh couldn't even remember his name, wouldn't even learn his name, because it's just another pathways player, right? It's just another guy that's just coming in. He's a free practice squad player. He's not from here. He probably doesn't know the game that well. He's probably really raw. He's going to need so much work. All extremely real worries about a guy coming from that system. But in training camp so far, he's actually looked way less raw than we expected him to be. I mean, there's potential there with Traore. If they can, I still think his likely landing spot is the practice squad because he can't be sniped, and it's a free practice squad spot because he's an international pathways player. But man, I would love to see him midseason, just get a shot to show what you can do. He's got speed, he's got height, he's got the physicality. I'd love to see Traore. And it looks like Slowick is using multiple tight ends, and I mentioned that already. I think Slowick is not immune to knowing what he has and doesn't have as far as talent goes. So I think we'll see a lot of tight ends because of that. Right. Going back to the secondary for a second, Ethan Bonner is also having an amazing camp, says Jorge. Head coach Jeff Hafley loves him. He can't stop talking about him, giving him a lot of praise. Hey, if he improves, that'd be great. He definitely needs to get his, what do you call it? He needs to get coached up, talked back up after last year. He had a really rough time when he was thrown into a starting role. Different coaching staff completely, different scheme completely. I get it. But if Ethan Bonner has been we've been big fans of him. So if he can get it together and put together some solid outings, I'm here for it, man. I am absolutely here for it. All right. The last guy on my list for players that you shouldn't sleep on, Kyle Lewis. Not a surprise, right? Love Kyle Lewis. Tackles for loss, pressure, sacks, involved in special teams, incredibly versatile. All things we already knew about him, all things that are showing up in the camp, on tape at camp, in the joint practice against Washington. Like, this is as much of a Swiss Army knife as I've seen probably since Isaiah Simmons was drafted by the Cardinals way back when. Really excited to keep an eye on him in the preseason. I think you guys should too. Anybody else that you guys think we shouldn't sleep on that maybe people are sleeping on? Trey Moore probably deserves to be in this list as well. Listed as a starting Sam linebacker for the Miami Dolphins in his rookie season. It's a first depth chart. I get it. Potentially just getting him on the field early. But that's a huge surprise to me. Let's get into the final segment of the night, boys and girls. And thank you so much for joining me, by the way. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. We did not hit our goal. Our goal was 250 subscribers by August 11th, which was yesterday. By the way, happy anniversary to the 305 Gridiron. We started August 11th, 2025. It's now August 12th, 2026. So we hit our 1 year mark as a podcast. Super excited about that. Super pumped to continue to be doing this with Josh. Even though he's under the weather today, I know he's happy about everything that we've been doing and all the work we've been putting in as well. But yeah, missed our goal, second goal in a row that we missed. That doesn't feel great, but we are still going to keep pushing towards growth here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, we would really appreciate a subscription, especially if you're still here 47 minutes into the show. Why not hit that subscribe button? What is it? What do you got to lose? For all of the 210 subscribers that are already subscribed, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Let's get into the final segment of the show. Has camp changed your mind? I'm listening. I'm hoping to hear from you guys in the chat on this. I'm going to give you my thoughts. Are you buying Malik Willis as a legitimate starting quarterback? Not yet. Not yet. I need to see more. He's only had a few plays in a real game. And training camp against what many people are expecting to be one of the league's worst defenses does not excite me that much. Right? Show me what you can do in the preseason. Show me what you can do in the regular season. I probably won't be ready to make a call on this until halfway through the year. At least week 8. Right? At least week 8. Has Caleb Douglas done enough to earn a week 1 starting role? 1,000% yes. 1,000% yes. Jalen Tolbert, Tutu Atwell, Malik Washington are nowhere to be found. You're the veteran receivers in the room. I went on a whole soapbox one episode about how it'd be really hard for a rookie receiver to beat out the veterans because they know they just have so much more information and they're so much better equipped to make decisions on how to fake out defenders and how to run better, crisper routes. And none of that has mattered. Caleb Douglas has been an absolute delight. A surprising one, but a delight. So I 100% think that Caleb Douglas has done enough to earn a week 1 starting role. Are you ready to pencil in Jacob Rodriguez next to Jordan Brooks? Oh, 1,000% yes. Again, 1,000% yes. Jacob Rodriguez is listed alongside Terrell Dotson as the starter. I think this is just a veteran courtesy for Dotson. I would have to guess that Dotson knows he's lost this spot already as well. I mean, Rodriguez has come in and he's looked elite. There's no other way to say it. He's looked elite right off the bat. From day 1, he's looked elite. I mean, everything we were hoping he would be, he has been, and more. And more. Jorge says, I believe what head coach Jeff Hafley and GM John Eric Sullivan bring, but I have to see a game how the players respond. It is a young team. Absolutely. Absolutely. Wait and see approach is totally valid here. Has Chop Robinson shown enough to you guys to believe a 10-plus sack season is coming? A 10-plus? Do you know how hard it is to get 10 sacks in a season? I know that they make it look easy because there's guys like Myles Garrett, right, who are doing it every year. But it's not. It's really hard to get 10 sacks in a season. I'm not there yet. I don't think he's shown enough to get 10 sacks in a season, no. Do I hope he does? Oh, yeah, of course. But I don't think he's shown enough just yet. Are you buying this defense as a potential top 10 unit in takeaways? Oh, this is a good question, Josh. You dropped through this one in the notes here. Yeah, I am. I think that might be the bright spot of the season. I think there's such an enormous amount of focus being put on the takeaway game for the defense. I do believe that because I there's not a lot of takeaways in a given season. Like if you really take a step back and look at the grand picture of how many takeaways each team has every year, it's not that many. Not as many as you would expect, at least. I think there's a chance that we're a top 10 unit in takeaways. Yeah. We might also be a top 10 unit in yards allowed. But we could be both. Both those things can be true. Has the offensive line changed how worried you are about this offense? Has the offensive line changed how worried you are about this offense? No, not really. I guess I just came into the season assuming that the offense was going to be a disaster regardless, right? I mean, Achane and Brewer are great pieces. And, we have young talent who looks like they could be great pieces. Patrick Paul and Savaniah and Proctor and Caleb Douglas, so on and so forth. But I wouldn't say that the offensive line has changed my view on it. Not really. Jorge is buying it. Jorge is buying that Chop has shown enough to have a 10-plus sack season. It's his year. All right. Put it in ink. Here's a pen. You could put this baby down in ink here. Jorge is all in on Chop. And yes, I believe the defense will produce the takeaways. Yeah, I agree. We're in agreement on that one. Top 10 in takeaways for the defense. That would be amazing. At least we'd have something to hang our hat on for the year. All right. Has the rookie class already changed your expectations for year one? This one, I feel attacked by this one. Yeah, I think so. Caleb Douglas, Jacob Rodriguez looking fantastic. Caden Proctor looks amazing. Will Kazmarek is going to have a bigger role than I think people realize as a utility player. I think Kevin Coleman Jr., I haven't talked about a single time in this episode. That's a shame. I apologize about that. Kevin Coleman has looked fantastic in camp. I think he has the potential to take that slot receiver role from Malik Washington. The rookie class has changed my expectations. Yeah, maybe it's only one win, but they've certainly changed it. I mean, I was already thinking 5 or 6 wins, like bump it to 6 or 7, right? I think if a few of these guys work out, I could see 6 or 7 wins. Are they going to be easy? Hell no. People always take that when you say something like that. They're always like, oh my God, you guaranteed 6 or 7 wins. I'm not an idiot. The team looks rough, but this is the NFL. Any given Sunday is a real thing. After 9 practices, here's the things that I'm taking away. It's more than 9 practices. Is it more than 9 practices now? However many it is. I'm more confident in Malik Willis, mainly because I had no idea what to expect. I think the younger players are making legitimate pushes to start across the entire lineup. It wouldn't surprise me to see 4 or 5 starting rookies week 1 of the regular season. Right? Caden Proctor, Chris Johnson, Caleb Douglas. Who else we got? Jacob Rodriguez. Let's throw Michael Taff in there as well. That's 5. 5 starting rookies in the first year. I can see it. Hafley's physical aggressive identity is showing up. And I love it. Absolutely love it. Alongside this one, I guess young players didn't mean rookies, because this one says rookie class looks like they contribute immediately. Absolutely. Young players pretty much defines the entire roster, though. We're, I think, the youngest or second youngest or third youngest team in the NFL. And now, the biggest point of all about training camp is we need to see it against someone wearing a different jersey. We need to see it against somebody wearing a different jersey. We've seen it against ourselves. But if ourselves suck and we're consistently doing really good things against our suck, then that just makes us suck more, right? We're not getting better. You need to face people who challenge you. You need to face units that punch you in the face to see how you react. And we saw that in our first joint practice with the Washington Commanders, right? There was some good, some bad. Overall, it was just okay. It was just okay. Jorge says, you know what's crazy? Last year we were 7-10, and this year's team has more talent, and they're going to compete every single week. I do see an improvement from last year. You think this team has more talent than last year? That is a very interesting take, Jorge. I love that take. I love it. 7-10 last year. You know what? I believe this year's team, at the very least, even if we can't hit the 7-10 mark, will be more entertaining to watch. Last year was just sad. Right? Watching Tua, Tyreek, and Wild going out. HN just desperately trying to do anything to steal a win. A defense that had more holes than a block of Swiss cheese. I mean, this year's unit should be more fun to watch. All right, boys and girls, that'll do it for me tonight. Miami Dolphins, Washington Commanders, Friday. I don't remember what time. Let me head on over to the 305gridiron.com and go to our new schedule page and check out what time. 7 p.m. at Northwest Stadium in Landover, Maryland. That's right. We've added a schedule page to the 305gridiron.com. We've also added a roster page. And don't at me about the roster page. It needs updates. I know Zack Sieler is definitely not going to be behind. Who's he behind on our roster page right now? He's behind James Esther. I realize that that's not going to happen. It's a mistake. I'll fix it. But the schedule page is awesome. Go check it out. It actually has the preview videos on there. It'll have the reaction videos on there. It has every single game for this season. So if you need to get the Dolphins schedule really fast, head on over to the schedule page and check it on out. The 305gridiron.com/schedule. You can also find our latest 10 videos there, transactions. All of our thoughts on the draft have now been moved into a single drop down, and you can subscribe to our channel there. So if you're still not subscribed, head on over or hit the subscribe button right here on YouTube. Why wouldn't you just do that? All right. For Josh, aka Aqua Ace, who is not here this evening because he is sick. Sorry, buddy. I hope you feel better. I'm Anthony Pinzone. This has been another episode of the 305 Gridiron. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate you, every single one of you, all 210 of you subscribers. Love you guys. We'll see you on Friday. Washington Commanders, Miami Dolphins. We'll be back actually on Monday night to give our reactions to that game. So can't wait for that. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody. I will see you on Monday. Fins up, baby.